Hello. So, today what we're going to be having a look at is a bit of a fun way of making some music at home if you're a musician who maybe doesn't have all the fancy equipment. Maybe all you have is something like an iPhone, an iPad. I'm going to show you a couple of ways that you can make some music using what you've got around you, get creative whilst we're all stuck in self-isolation, and also collaborate with other people. So if you're in a band, got some other musicians, you want to send your guitar tracks over to them or something, but you don't have a microphone and everything to do it with, it's fine if you've got something like an iPad, iPhone, Android device. These apps are going to be amazing for you as well. So what I wanted to show you first is this fun app that I've found. It's called Klimper. Is that right? Yeah, Klimper. So with Klimper, it's a bit of a cheat sheet for people who maybe are not so used to making music themselves, writing it, gets you used to the idea of chords. You can actually learn a bit with this as well, I think. So what you do is you can select your scale of choice. So you choose the key and whether it's major, minor, and then all your different modes up here. So I've stuck in C. So what you can do is you can see you can tap around all your chords here, and whatever you tap on, it's going to kind of be in the right key. And what you then do is you just hold and you can drag it and you can drop it in that top bar up there. Now, I've already done a bit of dragging and dropping, and I've made a basic progression up here, which if I just make sure everything else is muted. So once you've got your basic idea of your chords down and you've dragged them up to the top, hit the little arrows up here, you press the play button next to the instrument, so in this case it's chords, and you'll see something very familiar if you've ever used a MIDI step sequencer before. Everything is laid out as the chords here as well. Now what's also quite fancy is that as you zoom in like this, you'll see that you've got your chord notes here, but because we've selected our scale already, any extra notes that we select, so something like this one, is still in key with the rest of the chord. So there's no problem with us adding in these extra notes. This is where you would shift down chords because they're all locked at a certain octave. If you wanted to pull them all down an octave or use a certain chord but shift it below the others, this is where you would change that afterwards. So it's very easy to sort of get to grips with. Half an hour of playing or so and you should be pretty used to it. You can copy and paste, which is what the grey notes are. Now where it gets more fancy is where you see in this window here we have extra bits we can use. So I've actually got a drum track which I've pre-programmed as well. Similar idea, you've got all of your drum parts here, so bass drums, kick, snare, hi-hats, cymbals, different toms, things like that. And if we turn up the volume on this little basic mixer, it's got a bit of a beat going now. So if I just center that, you can pan instruments as well, so you can have your chords go over to your left hand side, all the way over to the right, and then back in the middle. So this gets quite handy if you start to mix in maybe some lead chords as well, if you want to stay all just within this app. Oh, let's see if I can just... There you go. So yeah, it's quite a powerful app in itself with just some basic sort of MIDI sequencing and a nice chord library for people who maybe aren't so used to writing music themselves. Now, because we're using something like an iPad, which is essentially a pretty good laptop in itself, what we can do is if we're happy with the level, so I'm happy with the kick, the sort of drums and the chords, we can export this project. If I change the name quickly, so we call it Song 4 Vid. We can export it, so you can either export as a MIDI file, which would let you import it to say Logic or another DAW to then mess around with it more, or GarageBand even, or you can export it as an audio file, which is what we're going to do. Now it does a bounce playback, so what it does is you have to listen to the whole track that you've made before it will be exported fully. Right, so that's done. So what I'm going to show you now, if we hop over to our second app, this is by a company called Isotope. It's an app called Spire. Now, what Spire is a very good little multi-track recorder. So you can do up to 8 tracks on this. You can set your BPMs up, you can import and export files. It's amazing. So say for instance you were sent a demo by somebody, which is what we're going to sort of emulate here. So your friend sends you a demo, you save it, you browse into your files here. Right, there we go. So, sorry about that, we've found the file. So, what we can hear is if we set our metronome to the same BPM, we can now hear we've got the track. So you could either just record sort of basic percussion in yourself, so things like just clicking into it, or we're going to cut now and I'm going to show you how you could use it to record something like your guitar and your guitar amplifier. So we're back, we're on the iPad now, and we're in Spire, and we're going to be recording some electric guitar. So the way this works is I've set this up so it's pointing kind of towards the speaker. It's a little bit off center, but this is a karaoke amp. It's not great, but for what we're doing today it's going to be alright. Whilst I'm in isolation, I don't have any of my nice amps, unfortunately. I'm quite limited. But what you do on Spire is you tap in from the right here, and you can see you have the option of doing a sound check now. You see it's picked up, apparently I'm playing a bass, but this is actually a guitar. It's just obviously quite a bit of low end where it is at the minute. It's fine for what it is though. Now what you can do is you can turn your metronome on up here, set the BPM to the same, and if we drag across and we hit record, what we're going to do is just record in a basic track, a little bit of guitar, and just to show you how it works. So we'll turn the metronome off now. So if we go back and listen, it's alright for what we've got at the minute. So we can actually mix it a little bit in here. It's very basic mixing, just volume and panning. But it's still pretty good for what we've got. So once you've done this and you've got all your instruments in that you want to, because you can keep going. Oh, if I go back to the actual track, you can keep adding instruments up to 8 levels. So you could keep adding different things. If you wanted to add just some clicks for some extra percussion, some like found sound, almost like a sampler, you could do that as well. It's a shame there's no real effects built in for mixing. It's just very basic level of pan. But it would be great if you say wanted to send over the file to someone else in the band and they were going to mix it. It sends over all the individual WAVs in a file when you export, so you just hit the button up here and you can see that you can either send it as a Spire project, you can send it text and email, highest quality, lots of different ways, and also individual tracks. So you would press that one there, and that's where you would then be able to export mixed tracks. And you can see how you want to send it. You can save it to your files, you could airdrop it, Notes, Messenger, however you want to send it. So all in all, I think these two apps together gives you a really powerful tool for sort of songwriting, starting off some demo ideas whilst you're at home, and just having a bit of fun whilst we're all in quarantine. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.